Finding more ways to lose. We had that one, played really well for a while, and just turnovers and mistakes kill us in the second half. And credit to UConn, they did a good job and capitalized on them. Bouncing back, came out that drive they had to start the second half was impressive. But then our inability offensively to sustain the ball and give our defense a break was a tough deal.
Kind of on that note, in the first half, second quarter, you had 14 carries for 103 yards, whatever it was. It only carried the ball 5 times in the third quarter. Was that flow of the game? Was that just going away from?
Should have called more runs, but we had really good opportunities there. So they were giving us so much stuff, right? That we're trying to get the ball in the perimeter. The plays were working, and we're moving the ball and just turned it over. The thought was, like in the first half, to throw it into the kind of the fringe zone and then run it in. So we would have had more opportunities to run the football if we didn't turn it over. I remember when I used to play, it was like, well, you guys stopped running the ball. No, we turned it over in the second half and had, a third of the plays we should have had. To run the football, you need a lot of plays. And what did we end up with? 50, 60 plays? We wound up with 80-something plays. So, but yeah, I'm sure I'll watch the film and wish I called more runs.
Coach, late in the game, you guys had the Cam Shanks pop pass get called a fumble. What was the official explanation for that?
I didn't get one. So I've never seen it called a fumble, but it's called a fumble today.
Coach, in the first half, it was a lot of high tempo, high energy. You could see that on the sideline. What is it going to take maybe for this team to put together 2 complete halves?
I'll say this, our energy was good. I was proud of the kids, regardless of the circumstances, and that was kind of the challenge. Guys were staying positive. There wasn't, complaining. There wasn't moaning. It was like, okay, respond and go out there and try to make a play. So I was proud of that. Really this thing came down to turnovers. I don't know how else to say it. Like, you turn over 3 times in the second half, your chances of winning are going to be slim, especially when you have a 2-score lead. So, we move the ball, we get into scoring territory where we're close, and we turn it over. We have the incomplete pass. It's called a fumble. And then we start a drive with a 10-yard, flip pass to BB, and, they call that a fumble. So, you're talking about early calls the first play of a drive is the incompletion that's called a fumble, and then the first play of a second drive is the call that is a fumble for BB. So let's say you're averaging 7 plays a drive, which is a decent drive. That's 12 plays. That just got taken away. So put your defense in a terrible position. It's very hard to be successful that way. I'm sure we'll look at the film and regret a lot of stuff. But all the losses hurt. This one hurts because it's a new way we found to lose.
When they had to go with their second quarterback, I'm sure you prepared for both, but was that did that throw you off a little bit, just kind of having a different style in there?
No, they're very similar players. I had Nick Evers at Elite 11 years ago. We thought both of them, that sidecar, outside zone, quarterback keep stuff was going to be part of their game plan. I thought we did a pretty good job taking that away. They love to switch vertical routes, the one they hit for the touchdown. We knew it was coming. It was good man coverage. Guy just made a play, and they took advantage of their opportunities, and we didn't.
Coach, every week this front seven seems to be playing better and better despite the loss. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, I think both of our lines of scrimmage are playing a lot better. We've worked really hard at it. Again, I'm proud of the guys. They've worked their tails off. They've stayed focused on getting better. Haven't let a devastating season to this point affect their preparation. They've worked hard. They really have. You have guys like we have 3 old guys there, Penn, Desmond, and LD that want to keep playing football. So they keep on working on getting better.
Coach, going off of that too, heading into the last home game of this season, what are you going to say maybe to the guys in the locker room to maybe just get that win on senior day and just kind of keep trudging forward?
Well, I told them I wish I could say something to make the pain go away because they hurt, but you can't. I talked about the dangers of blaming people. When a locker room turns on each other, it's never a good thing. So you know, when you give a game away, everybody's going to want to know whose fault it was. Just blame me. That's the easiest thing to do. I deserve it, but I don't want them to blame each other. You know, you get in and start blaming each other, and these are lifelong relationships, hopefully. You know, I'm still friends with my college teammates, and I think these guys should be friends for the rest of their lives, and you don't want to let something you say or something you do out of frustration affect that. They'll have a little bit of time off, and we'll come back and try to flush this thing quick and move on. I've never been a believer that there's nothing to play for. You know, I've always been a believer that every time you put on pads, you're representing something. We're representing the university, you're representing your family, you're representing our city, which we care deeply for. So just because a bowl game isn't in sight doesn't mean we don't have a lot to play for, and we'll come back to work and try to go beat our rival.
Once again, especially in the first half, the red zone, you settle for field goals. You know, I think 3 different times you settle for field goals down there. Kind of, what was it? The same sort of thing that happened in other games, or kind of what happened in the red zone today with you guys?
Story of the season, right? I think we lead the country in long drives that result in field goals. It's killing me. I love Jonah. I'm glad he's kicking a lot of them and making them, but I'd rather him not kick any, and we scored a bunch of touchdowns. You know, I'll torture myself on some of the calls. Really thought we could run it in, you know, and with the first drive we call it a run that we think is going to be pretty successful, and it gets stoned. Get to a third down. You know, they're a big pressure team on third down. Jim did a great job. They changed up some of their tendencies, so we were called man beater, and they play zone. We expected way more pressure in this game, way more man coverage. They played us pretty soft. So they trick us there. You know, we drop a touchdown. You know, Jalen makes a great throw in the back of the end zone on third down play, and kind of wet gloves and wet balls. So, you know, it always comes down to execution. And for whatever reason, we're not executing the red zone. I mean, I can show you how many calls we have. Like, we try. we try to find every which way of scoring. Just we haven't made enough plays. Yeah. Yeah, so this, you know, every week we try to shine light on something. This week was my son's foundation, the Trevin Dilfer Foundation, and had a little picture of him, which is pretty good. And then the green, and then the other shoe has the foundation stuff on it, and ribs and root beer. We always celebrate his birthday, which is Monday, with ribs and root beer. People around the country do. That was his favorite meal. So this weekend's really going to hurt. It's always an emotional weekend. It's always a little bit better when you win a football game, but it's a tough weekend.
All right, Coach.
Thank you, guys.